In this series, we've heard stories from Vitsis who come from all walks of life. They've led us into their world as scientists, technologists, medical professionals, and creatives. Though we've only seen snippets of what they have going on, it's safe to say their stories are fascinating and there is much we can learn from them. But one aspect of their journey remains to be explored. Whether you're looking for a career that is solitary or one that requires you to devote yourself to the public at large, you still need to make a living.
I think it starts while you're in school, so networking, attending conferences.
I plan on doing my master's because just the degree isn't competitive enough to get an actual job.
The degree I'm doing, it's TAB, so it's theatre and performance, and people immediately assume it's a useless degree. I say no. There's a lot of things within the degree like directing, playwriting, all of these things that not only can I do when I'm outside, but I can also create companies.
How do you go about receiving an income after your studies? As for me, apart from doing the basics like drafting a CV and sending it out, I was uncertain. However, university life exposed me to a whole host of strategies that would enable me to succeed. Welcome to the 5th episode of the Hack Your Future podcast. Today, we will explore essential strategies for thriving in university and beyond. We'll hear from some of Wits University's greatest academics, professionals, and activists who gained their edge from one of South Africa's top universities. I'm your host, Melusi Ngada, and today's episode is all about preparing yourself for the world outside campus, capitalizing on the Wits experience, and being forward-looking. Thankfully, we will be guided in this episode by familiar voices that we've heard throughout the series. Being in a university environment can often be enriching. There's so much to learn beyond the subject matter of the degrees you enrolled in. Professor Andrew Forbes reiterates the sentiment as he reflects on what he mainly took from his student years.
I like Jonathan Jansen's comment that university prepares you for change. I think that's quite true. If I think back at my education, it's not some specific knowledge that was important. That's not to say that gaining the knowledge is not important. It is, of course. But it's not the knowledge itself that matters. I think it's the thinking process, particularly the creativity process, which definitely, in my opinion, needs to be taught and nurtured much more than it is. And I think maybe in my case, I had a natural curiosity. I spent an enormous amount of time in the library, in the archives. By the time I left university, I, in fact, did not score particularly well on every exam I wrote. I never did badly, but I was not always brilliant. But I had read nearly every science book in the library before I left university. So a natural curiosity, I think, is very, very important if you want to move forward and have your own voice in the scientific landscape.
He goes on to add,
I think you're the sum of all your experiences, the people you meet, the interaction with those people, your own thinking process, your own learning process. I think all of these things accumulate to mold you into what you are.
Professor Benjamin Roseman agrees and emphasizes the importance of being a lifelong learner to advance in today's world. He sees the benefits of this mindset in his current work.
I think it comes back to that idea of learning how to think about things, that having a curiosity about asking questions and trying to find the answers, which inherently is what doing science is all about. But also notions of relying on colleagues. We work very collaboratively among a number of different academics, with our students. If you want to work on really hard problems, you need as many really smart people to come together to try and solve them. And I think that kind of culture around campus of collaboration, of inspiring each other, is still really critical in my life.
Kerry Gordon, from the university's Counseling and Career Development Unit, offers practical tips on how to apply what Professor Forbes and Roseman have discussed, particularly in terms of how university environments shape our career paths.
When you're at a student level, then getting in touch with the kind of career fairs and professional speed dating that the graduate recruitment program offers is a really, really good idea, because that just starts you on that field, and it's incredibly well attended by corporates. If you're, for example, in health sciences field, there are students' organizations that you can join. Maybe for law, there's Law Students Society. So there's lots of clubs and societies. I would look at clubs and societies that are specifically around a certain faculty or a certain subject, so that you can ensure that you are getting support in that particular subject and you're getting students who are going through the same experience. These people are going to be your professional network when you graduate. They're going to be your peers.
Khonzen Tsechang, our renowned actor, shares how beneficial the Wits environment was for her, reflecting on how networking and exploring different spaces sparked her interest in various areas.
It introduced me to a lot of great people that I met, personalities that were interesting, a whole new way of looking and understanding things. And maybe that was the biggest challenge. Also being in varsity made me stronger, because I knew I had to finish. And I knew that whatever I start, I need to finish and at least try and be good at it. And give my all to what I love and what I believe. And I did African cinema. It just gave me a real appreciation for film. It gave me a real appreciation for the work that goes into filmmaking, from acting to the music, to lighting, to sound, to cinematography. It just opened up my eyes and made me fall in love with film. Maybe that's why I ended up doing a whole lot of films.
Similarly, Professor Michelle Ramsey acknowledges how the university experience expanded her world and contributed to her self-esteem.
I think I couldn't do what I do now if it wasn't for a university education and for the opportunities. And, I think mentorship, role models are really important in helping open doors for you. And I think because when I was growing up in the field of human genetics, it was so small, and through my mentor, Trevor Jenkins, we got exposure to international geneticists. It was almost as if I was able to build up this international network. And that network continues to grow, but it also continues to open new opportunities. I'm almost enjoying my career more now over the last 10 years than I did maybe when I was younger. And I don't know if that's just part of growing up and feeling comfortable in your own skin. I think being a nerd, being more introverted, it was hard for me to express my opinion when sitting around a table with 10 people, and I could literally say nothing for an hour. And then with being in this environment, having more interactions, it's made me more confident to say what I think without sort of having that feeling my heart's jumping out of my chest.
Even though building connections is important, it's also crucial to get the basics right when searching for job prospects. Gordon explains.
I think there are so many resources these days to help you build your resume to look really, really good. So some of them are programs, and you can see a lot of templates on the internet to see what a good resume looks like. I would say have a short resume and a long resume. So a short one, just a page, have a photo of yourself on there and make it really clear and succinct. And then a longer resume that'll build as you get older, that shows everything in more detail. AI is also a really helpful tool to help you build a nice looking resume and give you a lot of knowledge about how to do that. So don't be afraid to ask AI. It's not like you can plagiarize your own resume or your own experience. So you're still telling the truth about that. And in terms of interviews, it's okay to be nervous. It's normal to be nervous, and interviewers will expect that, and they'll very possibly be quite patient with that. But anticipate some questions. So this is also something that you can Google quite easily. What kind of questions usually get asked? Usually you'll be asked to tell them a bit about yourself, what you could do well, why you would be a good fit for the position, and what your strengths and weaknesses might be. Try and prepare a little bit, even if it's writing down what you might say, or you could even try it out with a friend or a family member. Ask them to ask you a couple of interview questions, just so that you can get a sense of how you would answer those things. But I think above all, believe in your own value and your own skills, and be honest and authentically you. You know, they want to see you. They want to see who they'd be hiring.
Ultimately, success comes down to planning and having a clear vision of your career path. If you accept that everyone's journey is unique, anticipating your own career steps may become easier. For example, Candace Chira, as a gender activist, scholar, and commentator, aims to further her learning and expand her success by focusing on another healthcare issue.
I want to achieve my PhD. I want to change the way conversations around sexual and reproductive health are being had for the younger population, and we've tested that for 5 years with menstrual health with Curate, and now we want to do that for sexual and reproductive health. So I want to pivot. I want to be in the space of producing content, whether it be books, whether it be shows, whether it be anything that speaks to sexual and reproductive health directly for young people. I want to be behind the scenes for that. I want to be the curator for that type of element. I just also want to live more. I think for the past 6 years of being a founder and director of Curate, of being Minister of Menstruation, I've been very tied to my career, and I haven't really given myself the things that I've wanted to do, which is travel, experience life a little bit more. So I also want to have fun.
In a different field, Takwanda Mwendera, a journalist and entrepreneur, shares similar aspirations for content production.
I want to get back into building my business, Africaran Media, which is a media company based with the focus of promoting and showcasing the true African narrative, but also helping companies tell their stories, whether it's on digital events, digital platforms, really trying to get myself into a place where I can build the system so that I can build a good team who are also passionate about the continent to come on board with that journey with me.
While that may happen much farther down the line, she is currently vested in making 54 Collective grow and succeed, and to set some time aside for herself.
I'm very happy where I am. I'm very grateful to be where I am because they've only been there for 5 years and we're just taking things to the next step. There's a lot of growth that's happening, not just in the company, but in the VC space, in venture capital. And I see myself growing into more strategy. I'm grateful that I've been able to get into a management role, which is something that I also had on my tick box. And now it's just learning those skills and just growing and elevating future executive levels. That's the plan. But I also want to, apart from work and career outside, because we're human beings, we don't just exist to work, but we exist to live and enjoy life. I want to be able to travel. I want to be able to visit all African countries one day.
Conversely, Dr. Isaac Nape is focused on expanding his field and training the next generation of scientists.
Right now, as an academic, you start realizing that this work is actually not for ourselves, it's to build the next generation. So right now, I want to commit myself to building more young Africans who will eventually find themselves doing better work than I'm doing right now. In the next few years, I want to see myself graduating as many master students as we possibly can on the African continent, bringing in more new skills which we currently don't have in the country. This quantum technology thing is still quite new, and there's many research avenues that a lot of people currently in South Africa are not looking at. I'd really like to see myself bringing in new ideas for young Africans to play with.
Professor Karen Hoffman will take some time off to reflect on the knowledge and wisdom she and her team gained over the years.
I'm going on a sabbatical to Princeton University, to the School of Public and International Affairs, where I was invited to become a research fellow for a couple of months. So I'll go there, I'll hopefully refresh a little bit. What I'm going to do is to think through and hopefully write up something which looks at what we've accomplished here at WITS over the last 15 years and see what lessons we can learn. Because I think it is important as a research to policy unit to think about how did you engage with the policymakers and that kind of thing. And I think it is an important issue to consider very carefully, because it's not always straightforwardly about the evidence. I mean, we did have a lot of evidence to show that this would be a good idea, but a lot of it is about political issues, what we call the political economy. And that was something that I had to learn. I didn't realize how important it was. And I think I need to reflect on that a little bit more and write about it.
As we conclude this episode and the series, it's clear that the university experience offers more than just academic knowledge. It equips you with the skills, connections, and mindset needed to navigate the professional world and shape your future. From leveraging your networks to continuously learning and adapting, the insights shared by our guests over the past 5 episodes underscore the importance of resilience, preparation, and foresight. Hack Your Future is a production brought to you by WITS University. The show is hosted and produced by me, Melusi Ngala. The music and sound engineering is by Calvin Buerta. A special thanks to the Head of Marketing and Communications at WITS, Sharona Patel, Zenay Skosana, and the rest of the team for assisting with planning, designing, and the management of this project. Subscribe, share, and let us know your thoughts by leaving a review. For more on WITS University, please visit www.wits.ac.za.